Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining us today. Happy Friday. I hope that you've had a great week and that you're excited for the weekend. I think it's really kind of sad that according to the latest research, only 11% of Americans report having satisfaction in their job. So that means what? 89% of people are working for the weekend, looking forward to the weekend because they don't have a whole lot of satisfaction during the week. And that's not the two of us. I can tell you that with 100% confidence that yes, we love the weekends and we love our weeks too. So Dr. Tiffany Russell, welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for joining me today.
You're very welcome.
So Tiffany and I go way back. She is like one of the OGs from the 56-day boot camp to double your business. I think way back in 2018, Tiffany joined, and it's been a really fun ride ever since. And I love that Tiffany is always looking for how can she improve people's lives in more ways. And that's how we stumbled on this conversation that now we're going to have with you. I think it was back in the fall of last year. Maybe it was more like August or September. I don't know. It all kind of blends in. Tiffany asked me if I had ever heard of LifeWave patches. And I was like, I don't have any idea. And then she started sharing with me how much they were changing people's lives in her practice and the people that she knows. And I was like, yes, I want to hear all about it. So Tiffany, let's start right there. What are LifeWave patches? And let's also differentiate what's the difference between LifeWave patches and others. So take it from there.
Okay, so LifeWave patches are these little things here. They are just like a little circular sticker that you place on your body in certain areas, and they are non-transdermal. So that's the main thing that is different from these patches from other patches that you may find on the market. So non-transdermal means that there's nothing in this patch that's going to enter through the skin or enter your bloodstream. Most people are familiar with nicotine patches. Those are transdermal patches because they have nicotine in them, and that nicotine goes through your skin and enters your bloodstream. So these are non-transdermal. So there's nothing in these patches that enter the body. What they do is there is organic material. If you can see, as I peel back one side there, you can see how there's a little white circle in the middle there. So that is made up of different organic material like sugars and crystals and crystalline structures that reflect your own infrared heat and light back into your body. And depending on, there's 10 different types of patches that LifeWave makes. So depending on which patch you have on your body, it's going to have a different ratio of those organic materials in there that's going to cause that light to be reflected back at a different frequency, which then is going to stimulate different natural processes in the body or different peptides in the body to be formed. So it's a really amazing patch. And my favorite thing with it being a non-transdermal patch is I never have to worry about it interfering with anything that anybody is doing, whether it's medications that patients may be on or other supplements that patients may be on, or, planning for a surgery that may be coming up, or any outside things that they are doing with their body. These patches do not interfere with, because nothing is being placed in the body. It's just enhancing your body's innate intelligence to do what it knows how to do by giving it that vital energy, because these days we are so lacking in vital energy because we have so much stress and so many outside things inhibiting that vital energy and inhibiting our innate intelligence from being able to do what it wants to do. So these patches just enhance that ability to allow that innate intelligence to thrive again.
I love it. And that's why it's so perfectly aligned with chiropractors, right? Like yes. Our job is to remove interference, to clear the lines. And that's really what LifeWave patches do. The same thing is like they fire up your body's innate, inborn healing and well-being so that you can be the best expression of yourself. One of the things that I really love about LifeWave patches, and don't get offended, those of you who are really into supplements, but I'm so sick of swallowing supplements or stirring something into my coffee or a glass of water or whatever. Like every morning I lay out for myself these little packets of essential greens. And it's not even that they don't taste good. Well, they don't taste great, right? And I'm like, I just can't do it today. How about tomorrow? Like, and probably anyone, especially chiropractors who are watching, you can probably identify with this. Like, I don't want to take one more supplement, which doesn't decrease their effectiveness. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying for me personally, I have been taking supplements in some form since I was in high school. And I think probably everyone has been there. And so that's another thing. Like my husband and I patch when we get dressed in the morning, and then, we're done. Like nothing more, like no unscrewing bottles, no like setting things out. It's just zip zap, put them on. And a couple of the things I want to talk about specifically, mental fog and achiness. So as you well know, I wrecked my snow machine in 2021 and had 2 major surgeries in 2022 because of injuries for that. I did 18 months of rehab for my knee, and it works great. Despite that, there was always just this little pebble in my shoe, right? That it was always just a little achy, not to stop me, but a little achy. And depending on what I was doing, it was just enough of a distraction. I couldn't focus that well, right? Or it would make me second guess, like obviously I've been hiking a ton, getting ready for my race. And it would just make me second guess, like, do I really want to do that hike today? Because what if my knee hurts more tomorrow? Right. So it was just enough of annoyance that I'm so glad it's gone. Like ever since I've been patching, even though I've been doing a lot of elevation, a lot of steps, nothing. I'm 3 days of hiking in 4 days and nothing wrong. And then the mental fog, one of the patches that I use is Aeon. I don't even know if I'm saying it right, but it's for your brain. And if you're like I am, those of you who are watching, I want to make sure I protect this. So many of my friends now are that sandwich generation where they're taking care of their parents and they're still taking care of kids. And so I've watched enough of them go through dementia and Alzheimer's and other brain related illnesses that they're dealing with their parents. And I'm like, I'm not doing that to my kids. So whatever I have to do to make sure that my brain stays healthy for myself, my husband, and our family, I'm all here for. And, and I feel like I'm back into like my 20s and 30s with how I can just focus and like, bam, like just unbelievable. So let's talk about, and for all of you, this is my routine. I do X39, SP6, Aeon, and then I rotate with glutathione and
carnosine.
So let's talk first about X39 because that's the first one. That's the overarching. That's if you only want to do one, do X39. Let's talk about that one first.
Yes. So X39 is like the foundational patch. All the other patches are considered support patches to work synergistically with the X39. But like Dr. Barb said, if you're only going to use one patch, X39 is the one patch that you always want to be using. So X39 helps to enhance a certain copper peptide in the body, GHK copper peptide. And that has been shown in research studies to be able to flip the switch back on for our own stem cells. Now, with our stem cells, yes, those are the holy grail when it comes to healing and regeneration and age reversal, not just anti-aging, but actually age reversal. And they start out at a really high amount whenever we are young, which is why we tend to recover from things when we're younger, bounce back a lot faster. And then as we about hit our 20s, they start to kind of decline as we get older with their activity. By the time we hit about 30 to 35, we only have about 50% of our stem cells active. By the time we hit about 60 to 65, we no longer have any of our stem cells active anymore. They're still in our body. They're just sitting there dormant, not doing anything. So through research, we have discovered that copper peptide is able to turn those stem cells back on. So the X39 patch enhances that copper peptide, which is a wonderful thing to be able to have access to for daily activation. There's so many people out there who have probably heard of stem cells and heard of people getting stem cells injected for $10,000 for one injection, whatever that may be. But you're getting that injection one time. And while I'm sure it helps a lot of people in that one time, you're not then continuing to keep those stem cells active. With the patching, you're able to put it on for 12 hours a day, and every single day you're able to do something to keep your own stem cells active, which again is such an amazing tool to have in your arsenal. So that is the main patch there. And when it comes to our stem cells, our innate intelligence knows what to do. Our innate intelligence has its own priority list of knowing what dysfunction we have going on below the surface that we're not going to be aware of. We're aware of the things that are causing us to have physical symptoms, or maybe if we recently went to a physical exam and got scans done or whatever, we're able to see some other things going on. But we will never be 100% fully aware of all of the dysfunction going on internally. It's just impossible to know that. When it comes to organs, our organs, whenever they start to decrease in function, we typically don't get any symptoms from that. We're not going to have any pain from that because the organs themselves don't have pain receptors on them to be able to show us anything. That's where referral pain comes in, but the organs themselves don't. So 9 times out of 10, when somebody starts using these patches, their first question is going to be, well, when am I going to start noticing some changes? And my answer is always, I wish I could tell you the exact date. But there's going to be so much going on below the surface that if you have a heart issue that you're not aware of, your innate intelligence is going to say, oh, that's a lot more important to take care of right now than some nagging pain in your shoulder. So it is going to send those stem cells to that priority list first of what's going on below the surface. And then after that, it's going to start targeting more of the things that you're most likely aware of. So a perfect example is I just had a patient. She is 2 months into care, and she started patching from the first time that she came in when I shared them with her. She is in her 70s. So I told her from the jump start, like, this is not just going to be a wear a patch for 2 weeks type thing, and you're immediately going to notice changes. So I made sure that she was aware of that. She came in for her visit 2 days ago and shared with me that she's on month 2. She said, a couple weeks ago, I was really close to just stopping because I wasn't noticing any change or difference. She's like, but I kept remembering everything that you kept telling me. So I just stuck with it. And she said, and I just realized today that just in the last 3 days, I have only taken 4 Tylenol. So from the outside of things, you might look at that and think, well, 4 Tylenol in 3 days, that's still kind of a lot to take. She was taking 2 Tylenol and 2 ibuprofen every 3 hours for every single day.
Wow.
So to go from, yeah, exactly. So like that was one of her stresses too, was the impact that was having on her liver and all of her other organs. But she literally couldn't function throughout the day because of the amount of pain that she was in. That was the only way that she could get through her day. So she was just like, I am so thankful that I listened to you and that I just kept with it. And I allowed my body to do what it needed to do to get to this point. And she, of course, is going to continue patching as well, because that is not the end goal that she wants to be at. She wants to be able to completely be free of taking any pain medication and be out of pain and be able to function and thrive that way. So that was an amazing testimony to share there.
You know, X39 patches make me think of in stem cells, like calling the stem cells out of the bullpen.
Yeah.
They're there. They're just not activated,
Yeah.
right? And so when we call them up, then our body gets to be at its optimum function with all of the players, right? Like we get to have the best players on the field, and our stem cells are definitely the best players when it comes to longevity, performance, recovery, all of those things. So let's talk for a second about SP6 and then Aeon.
Okay, so SP6 is a support patch. Like I said, all of these support patches are meant to be used in conjunction with X39. So the SP6 patch is all focused on hormonal balance and gut health, and organ health as well. So those are the main three benefits of the SP6 patch that way. I use that from the beginning. I've been using the patches for over a year now. So I'm at the point where I am every day still using X39, but I'm not on any specific protocol, I guess you would say, of where I'm using all of the other patches on a regular basis. I just kind of wake up and kind of think, okay, what am I feeling like I need for today? Where's my energy at? What do I need? So for a lot of people, once they get through the initial phases of care, they'll just stick with the X39 by themselves and just kind of like that, hold on to the support patches for an as needed basis. But when I first started patching, the SP6 played a huge role in my hormonal balance, my cycle coming back to normal. My cycle was super, super heavy. And just within like 2 months of starting patching, it was back to just a regular flow. I wasn't needing to wear, Depends on the first 3 days of the cycle because of how heavy it was. And I was back to being like every 4 to 6 weeks of having a cycle. When before that, like I would go 8 months at a time without having a cycle. And it was insane. It was convenient to go months at a time without it. But I know that was not healthy, and it's not what my body was truly wanting to express.
Yeah.
And it just needed that help. It needed that help to allow the hormones to finally begin to balance itself, heal the gut, and all of that goes in response with that.
Yeah. So parents, have a listen. It's been standard protocol since I was in high school that young girls get put on birth control, which has all kinds of awful side effects, to normalize their period, right? And I love that SP6 just jumps in and does that for them. For me, it definitely was a huge leverage point for, like I'm finally, I think, almost at the end of having periods in my life. I keep getting that one that sneaks in before that year mark that I guess officially puts you into menopause. But what a crazy exercise that is at this stage of life to try and balance your hormones. And so I've been super excited to have the extra support of the SP6. And then when it comes to gut, oh my goodness, I mean, we all know that the brain gut balance, right? And how important that is. And if you have an unhealthy microbiome in your gut, it just screws up all kinds of stuff. And so the SP6, and for me, this combination too has dramatically decreased inflammation. And certainly, those of you who've been around for a while also know that I've changed a lot of things in my life, and, dropping 80 pounds and exercising, all those things again, definitely has been a significant part of that. But this has been the icing on the cake for me of that final push, that final piece to feel where I'm definitely knocking on the door of optimum health at 56 years old. Let's talk about ion patches for a minute.
Yes. So those patches are great for inflammation in the body. They are great for mood. They are great for lowering cortisol. So those are the main three things that the ion patch, however you want to pronounce it, is great for. And that is actually the most popular patch outside of the X39 that people love to use the most, just because, inflammation is something that everybody has to deal with. And 9 times out of 10, it can be causing some of the pain and discomfort that people are experiencing too. Yeah. So being able to manage that and support the inflammatory process in the body, and then alongside with that, helping to balance your mood and decrease the cortisol in the body, That is like the perfect combination. If you needed to just add in one support patch with the X39, the Eon would be my suggestion every time, pretty much.
So just a second, I'm going to do something real quickly.
Mm-hmm.
I'm asking ChatGPT, what are the side effects of the most common prescription mood drugs? They're called SSRIs, selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors. And for those of you, if you're taking them or know somebody who is, please just listen to my words and don't allow your brain to fill in gaps of things I'm not saying. So I'm simply asked a really simple question. I to ChatGPT, and I'm not saying you're bad for using them. I'm not saying anything about depression, anxiety, OCD, PTSD. I'm not saying anything specifically about you, even though that's how we interpret what other people are saying. I'm simply sharing with you, these are side effects from SSRIs: nausea, diarrhea, GI upset, sexual dysfunction, insomnia, drowsiness, increased anxiety, weight gain or loss, emotional numbing or blunting, headaches, suicidal thoughts, especially in young adults under 25, serotonin syndrome. It's rare but dangerous. Then we also have SNRI, serotonin norepinephrine reuptake inhibitors. The side effects of those are nausea, dizziness, dry mouth, constipation, sweating, sexual dysfunction, increased blood pressure, withdrawal symptoms if stopped suddenly. And then the next group is mood stabilizers for bipolar disorder, mood swings, treatment resistant depression, tremor, weight gain, frequent urination and thirsting, thyroid issues, kidney strain, GI upset, toxicity risk if blood levels go too high, rashes, dizziness, fatigue, headache, weight gain, hair loss, tremor, liver toxicity. Well, and then it just keeps going. So I'm saying those things to simply say, yes, that is something you can turn to. I wonder what might happen in your life if you chose this route. I just wonder. And even if it's to just help supplement, like maybe you can decrease how many milligrams of one of those that you take. Or, I think most people I've ever talked to who are on some kind of medication for depression, anxiety, they would rather not, right? It's not like they're not aware of the potential side effects, but it just feels too scary to go off them. So I wonder what could happen for you if you started a regimen of LifeWave patches, and then we heal that hurt on the inside, that and when I say hurt, like that decreased function within, by empowering your body. What are some of the things that you've heard from users of LifeWave regarding anxiety, depression? Because even the very first time we talked to April, there's some pretty big story, like testimonials connecting LifeWave patches and feeling good emotionally again.
Yeah. So I actually have a perfect example in my husband.
Yes.
So one thing like to know about trauma and everything too is that gets stored in our body, and light helps to release that, bring that to the surface again so that it can actually be processed and released and not sit there in the subconscious part of our mind and our body, because trauma gets stored not only in our mind, but in our body in certain areas too. So my husband, back in 2016, he was at work and he thought he was having a heart attack and had to be rushed to the hospital. Turns out that it was just a panic attack. And I don't know what happened in like the function of his body, but he could not handle drinking alcohol anymore whatsoever. So he was kind of at the point too where he was handling stressful work day or whatever by coming home and having a drink and using that to like unwind. So he was now at this point where he couldn't do that to help himself unwind anymore. And his anxiety was through the roof. And he would go to the doctors, and they did put him on an SSRI. I allowed him to take 1 dose of it. And I said, you're not taking this anymore, because he's not one that likes to take medication anyways. So all of the appointments that we would go to, we would talk to them about natural ways of doing things and just kind of get pushed under the rug and say, well, here, try this instead, not really listening to us. So we let him take 1 dose of it. We have a 2-story level house to where our upstairs overlooks our living room area. He actually had to sleep that night. It was a Friday that he took it. He had to sleep Friday night downstairs on the living room floor because he said that every time he laid down in his bed, his imagination would just see him walking out and falling over the railing.
Oh my gosh, that's scary.
Just after 1 dose. Yeah. So yeah, after that, it was like, okay, we're done with this. We're moving to more natural things. I wish in 2016 that I had known about LifeWave, because I absolutely would have patched him up to the nth degree. Yeah. But, we made changes with our diet and different things, which helped him get through that at that point. Fast forward to now the fall of last year, he starts having gut issues. We go to the ER and they diagnosed him. It wasn't gastritis. It was like the upper part of the intestine there that was just like inflamed. So they sent him home with medication, went back a week later. Turns out that medication, that pain medication that they gave him, now caused him to have gastritis. So another episode of, here, take this medication and, here's the side effects. So again, after that, we were like, okay, we're done with this. But it was causing him so much insomnia. He couldn't go to work for an entire month. He had to just work from home because his anxiety, again, was through the roof. So I started patching him. I started putting him on the X39, the Eon Daily, the SP6, and he was using IceWave every single 24 hours for that gastritis pain. Okay. So after about a month and a half or whatever, he made it through that, and he is feeling wonderful now and feeling great, and so thankful that, we had a natural way to help him make it through that and allow the anxiety to kind of calm down on its own. He's also using the silent night patches now too to help with the sleep, but his sleep is like so much better than what it was. He literally wasn't sleeping at all during like the initial phases of all of that. It was a lot of stress going through the house and figuring out how to get through that. But so thankful that I had that tool in my arsenal to be able to help him with these patches, and that we didn't have to keep relying on going back to doctors to ask, okay, well, what's a different medication that we can try now that may cause more side effects or less side effects? And playing that whole game of, let's figure out a medication that's going to give you the least amount of side effects possible versus just do something natural with no side effects. How about that?
Yeah. And as a practicing chiropractor, what, because some people that I've talked to about patches are like, well, it seems like that would be hard to introduce to my patients. Mm-hmm. What's been your experience when you share it with your patients?
Everyone is going to be different, but I've never had anybody be like, oh, don't talk to me about this, and like completely shut down. They're always interested in hearing it. And if they're in your office already, they already have the trust in you that you're going to help them. And they already, to some degree, have a belief in more alternative, natural ways of health and healing. So it's a very easy transition with the way these patches work to be able to tie it in with chiropractic care as well. Because, chiropractic care is great for a lot of different things, but it's not going to heal a dysfunctional heart, or it's not going to heal, dysfunction within the organ. So it's a great tool to add in to get more out of your adjustments and get more out of your chiropractic care too, and kind of explain how they're both beneficial and even more beneficial together.
Yeah. Like the 1-2 punch kind of thing. Yeah. And talk a few minutes about the amazing corporation that is LifeWave.
Yes. So it is an amazing corporation. They are worldwide at this point. The owner of the company truly, truly cares about health and healing and is in it for all of the right reasons. He is a Christian man. He has said before in interviews that he truly feels like the patches and everything that he used to form the patches were just divinely downloaded into his brain, because he's using the same numbers and everything that can be found throughout the Bible to be able to set, the ratios and the frequencies. And I'm not a scientist, so I don't know everything that goes into it. I just know what I have heard him say before about having it divinely downloaded to him and using the Bible for inspiration whenever it comes to building these patches. And they are all about giving back. They are all about constantly reinventing things to help us thrive and survive and do things naturally. They are very, very close to releasing a water machine, which I am super excited about. It's kind of like in the end phases of being released publicly. I know some of the higher ups in the company have the device in their homes already and are absolutely loving the water. But it's the first of its kind to where it is light infused into water so that you can actually have light therapy from the inside out. And there's some really, really amazing anecdotal responses that people have gotten from using the water as well. But I will hold off on sharing any of those until the machine is actually released. And I can kind of give more information about the machine and how it works and, give people the opportunity to buy when they want to.
Yeah.
But yes, it's an amazing company, and a lot of giving back, and a lot of just the focus is on health and healing and natural health and helping people take back control of their lives and not be dependent on outside sources.
Yes. Healing from within.
Yes.
So as we wrap this up, and for all of you to know that in the comments, I've included a link so that you can obviously get more information. Tiffany is an amazing resource if you're a boot camper inside the boot camp. Is it module 39? That one is the one that comes to my mind.
I think it is. Yeah, I think it's 39.
I think it's module 39. Tiffany has created and uploaded a bunch of content to make it really easy for you to implement these into your practice if you're not in the boot camp. And I mean, you can still get in touch with us. LifeWave is an MLM. They are not sold. LifeWave patches are not sold, at least wise, legally outside of going through LifeWave, right? That doesn't mean that somebody can't grab them and then, do their own thing. But, another part that I love about them is I don't have to know everything, and I definitely don't. I just have some great personal testimonials, and then I just connect them to Tiffany, and she takes it from there. So she's an unbelievable resource, like Johnny on the spot. I'm pretty sure she never sleeps. And even though she's got 3 little kids at home, a practice, and all the things, she's super accessible and knowledgeable, and is very tightly connected to some of the people at the top, which I always like that too. So Tiffany, as we wrap this up, anything more that you want to share?
Just the whole aspect of buying the patches, do not go to Amazon and purchase them, because they are not, you don't know what you're getting through that. If you're interested in buying them, buy them direct from LifeWave. Go to Barb's link that she has in there. We can help you figure out what patches are going to be most beneficial for you to get started with too. But there's definitely scammers out there who are trying to sell whatever they're claiming to be LifeWave patches on Amazon or whatever it may be. Because the thing with these patches too is you peel them back and you stick them on your body, but you technically don't have to stick them on for them to become activated. They can just sit close to your body and the heat from your body will activate them. So you don't know if the ones being sold on Amazon were already used by somebody and just not filled back with the stickers. And now they're reselling these patches used up patches that are no longer active anymore. So you definitely want to make sure that you are getting them direct from LifeWave so that you have that confidence knowing that you are getting good patches.
Yeah. And you can use them on your animals. You know, that's another thing. There aren't contraindication. Well, like don't put them on an open wound or a scar or things like that. They're
you can put them on scars.
Oh, you can?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of testimonials of scars fading and actually going away from using the patches as well.
Oh, I've got
so that's another huge benefit. Yeah. But yeah, you can these patches remain active from 24 hours whenever you first place them on your body, but you can only get the benefit of it for 12 hours because it's important to let your body rest and then go back to using one the next day. So you can always use this patch for 12 hours and then immediately take it and hand it off to a pet or whoever you want to so that somebody else can get the same benefit of the patch for the second 12 hours. That's not technically recommended by LifeWave because of sanitary things and, you know, legal things. They can't say, oh, yeah, you can share patches, but it's possible.
There you go. Get your double your money's worth.
Yeah, 2 for 1.
Yeah, very cool. Well, Tiffany, thank you so much for joining me today and sharing about LifeWave and turning me on to it. And it's cool seeing other boot campers who have adopted it. Yes. So check out the link in the comments. And if you have any questions at all, reach out to me, private message me or email me, drb@barbaraeaton.com. You can also check out Tiffany. It's Dr. Tiffany Russell. Your Facebook, though, is just Tiffany Russell, right?
Yeah, it is.
You can message her, and we're here to help. So thank you all for joining us. Have a very blessed Friday. See ya.